Welcome back to March Malcontent, Episode 3. Our first match is going to be between Pichu and Cloudy. Cloudy is the Super Smash Bros. Amiibo. So there's two Cloud Amiibos. One with Cloud's original outfit, and then one with his Advent Children outfit. The one with the Advent Children outfit is the one you can actually see he's wearing right now. It's basically a black coat. And I will say it's less iconic, but with how stringent Square Enix was with the costume restrictions. Amazing quick spike by Pichu. Gets a first stock really quick. Pichu is an amiibo who has been retrained in the past. Something about Pichu and Pikachu. They share similar AI. This, of course, being in the non-language learning model meaning of the word. But for some reason, the amiibo just systems aren't great with Pikachu's moveset. I can imagine it must have been difficult to program how to use a computer to use a moveset of almost 100 characters in the game. I can't say that for characters like Pichu. They do get a slight shortcut in that they get to use most of the code from Pikachu, since they are very similar. And I'm pretty sure they do have a system that automatically detects when to use a move based off of where the move will actually hit, so that they don't need to hard code all of that in. It does also mean that they can update the game and not have to adjust all of those parameters. And as a result, that means that in a couple of updates, they were actually able to improve some of the amiibo's AI capabilities. Cloudy almost getting gimped, barely making it back to the ledge. Although Pichu's not quite done with him yet. Tries to catch the tech with a Thunder Jolt. Not really something you'll see that often because it usually doesn't even work. Also, another thing to note about Pichu is that all these amiibo do have great auto heal, which heals 5% every 5 seconds. So if you ever see their health bar go down, which it will, that's why. Pichu does self-damage, and I'd say the self-damage, depending on how aggressive Pichu's being at the moment, is a little bit less than the great auto heal. So Pichu still heals, but it's less noticeable than a lot of other characters, because Pichu is already a character where if you throw out any move that has electricity and it doesn't hit the opponent, you're worse off for it. However, it does have a side effect that if Pichu's able to combo the opponent without getting hit, it's even better for Pichu, since you can't heal when you're at 0%, but if Pichu's dealing damage to himself the whole match, then he can heal that away. But again, the rates of taking damage get skewed once the opponent starts getting involved. Falling neutral air, not gonna kill Cloud. Probably should have gone for a down air, just in case the kill happened. Oh, getting the no-tech with a Thunder Jolt, but then landing on a platform and getting killed by an up smash. A good showing from Pichu, but Cloudy's ultimately going to be making it to April Anger. Alright, and for our next match, we're going to be having Ivysaur against Donkey Kong. Something interesting about this match is that both of the competing amiibos here have won April Anger in the past. So, Donkey Kong won last year, so I guess spoilers if you didn't see that. And Ivysaur won our first year, and believe it or not, also our second year. I was actually worried that he was gonna sweep every year from then on out, but we have had other competitors rise to the occasion. So, basically both of these amiibo have proved they have what it takes. I will specify that if you lose this match, you're not out of the running for the tournament. It just means that you don't get the guaranteed spot in the tournament. So you will be seeing at least one of these competitors in April Anger. And the second one is not guaranteed, but given their past success, it's a higher chance than I'd say most other. Following up here with Donkey Kong, not enough to kill Ivysaur. Back air is enough. I will say that Ivysaur, the amiibo in general, has sort of been struggling the more amiibos we've added to the tournament. I know it's really hard to keep up with a 2-tournament-in-a-row win streak. I'd say it's a little bit of a big fish in a tiny pond sort of situation. That once a couple other big fish started moving in, Ivysaur had a significantly more difficult time. Of course, I guess you could say that about everyone else who wasn't winning as well. Ivysaur is just the one we think about it the most. Got Donkey Kong off stage, goes for a fire, does get some damage. Forward air is able to kill. This stage does have some pretty close side blast zones. Usually not a problem because the stage is so large. Donkey Kong goes for a second headbutt. He probably could have... Well, he maybe could have hit a forward smash. The amiibo mashed out really quickly, so it would have been a little tough to get. Ivysaur does not grab the ledge, gets hit by a spinning Kong for the trouble. Forward smash, I don't think that was ever going to possibly hit Donkey Kong. Forward smash read is going to kill Ivysaur. Down special from Donkey Kong is a great spike. It may not be the strongest spike, however, it's out for so long. Fully charged forward smash at the ledge at 70%. Donkey Kong's a very heavy character, Squirrel's a very lightweight character, but the blast zone was just close enough. It was just enough to secure the kill. Donkey Kong loving these up tilts. I guess I would too if I could land 4 of them on someone. The amiibo AI in general isn't great at knowing how to hold away from combos. As a result, certain characters like Mr. Game & Watch and the Belmonts have up airs they can chain into the amiibo a whole bunch because the amiibo don't know how to escape. Also, the amiibo apparently have a specific parameter ingrained into them so that if they land an up tilt or an up smash, it tells them how often they should use it again to keep trying to follow for juggle up. Alright, and that brings us to Ken against Isabelle. The Battle of the Blondes. I don't know if you can call a dog blonde. I guess it might depend on what species of dog Isabelle is. I don't think they ever really talk about it, just that dogs exist and she is one. Not entirely sure how the whole species thing works in the Animal Crossing universe. Some of those villagers are robots. Ken not able to grab the ledge. One of the problems with this stage is that it doesn't have that slanted angle, which does give you less leniency when trying to recover. So maybe Isabelle's a golden retriever just going off of the fur color. Ken doesn't grab the ledge again! I think this is going to be a really quick match, guys. No way. Okay, he was able to grab the ledge after that. Shoryuken is a great move. However, it does put you into special fall. That probably makes up for the fact that if you were playing Street Fighter, you were always on a flat surface, and you could not, well, change that really at all. Whereas in Smash Brothers, you could Shoryuken off of a platform, and if you didn't have the special fall system, you would either be free to act surprisingly quick. Okay, he does make it through the ledge on that one. Or you would be in a weird non-movement state, because that's how this move works in Street Fighter. You cannot act until you're back on the ground and you finish the whole animation. But that works in Street Fighter because there will always be ground underneath you. There will never not be ground underneath you. So it would depend on how specifically it's programmed. Kill off the side. Isabelle didn't even lose a stock. Granted, that's because Ken took 2 of his own. And now we have Fox against Captain Falcon. Total zoo fight we've got going on. I mean, Captain Falcon's a human, but he's named after a bird. Which is weird because he drives a car. Not entirely sure why they named him that. But also it means that they got to give him the Falcon Punch, and that's probably the coolest move in fighting games to ever exist. So I'll give him some leeway on this one. Goes off stage, does not get the spike. Wall jumps instead of using his up special to recover. It's easier on a stage like Wily's Castle because you do have those vertical sides. Which I guess sides would normally be vertical. But on a stage like Battlefield, you have the sloped sides, which you can wall jump off of, but it's a lot harder. And especially since in order to wall jump off of them, you usually need to use your double jump to get to the wall. So you'll see people do it mostly as like a flex on their opponent. But in my experience, there's enough that can go wrong, and the only reward is possibly not having to grab the ledge, depending, of course, on what your special recovery move is, that it's a lot easier to just go for ledge and know you won't accidentally kill yourself. Especially because if you do try to wall jump back up past the ledge and then the opponent hits you, you still don't have your double jump back. Whereas if you grab the ledge and you do it without getting two framed, then you do get your double jump back. So even if they get your ledge get up, it's a lot easier to recover. Some characters especially need their double jump to recover. Up smash, not quite enough to kill. The blast zone on this stage is actually pretty high up. Fox just gracefully falls to the ledge. Seems to have worked out great for him. I want to say he read that air dodge, but I think he was just too slow on the down air. Now, Fox off stage, alright, getting spiked to death at 60%. Actually goes into what I was going to say, that you usually don't want to take Fox too far off stage. He's the fastest falling character in the game. His horizontal airspeed is fine, so he can usually make it back to recover. But he only gets to throw out one move before he has to recover because he falls so fast. His up special goes a great distance, and you can always angle it towards the ledge. But that altogether, you can see there he was actually almost off screen at the bottom there, and he still made it back. But all those together mean that Fox gets to try to edge guard. And that up special just killed Fox. Fox is a very light character, I should mention. Alright, now we have Kirby Smash Brothers against Snake. And it looks like they're going to be on the Great Plateau. A stage you won't see in tournaments because you can tag on the ceiling. But for these amiibo tournaments, in the preseason at least, I think it's just fine. Raw forward smash does a lot of damage. Damage that Kirby doesn't want to be taking. Kirby's one of the lightest characters. Falling out of Snake's neutral air, able to hit him back with one of his own. Snake trying to hit Kirby with the missile. He does. And then lets him oh, he gets a grab though. Goes for another missile. Kirby's actually one of the harder characters to hit with the missile because he has so many jumps. Oh, great spike though. They actually traded the first hitbox there, but they meant Snake flinched and Kirby died. Kirby having a hard time landing on the ground. That time he could, but that's because he turned into a rock. None of those hits were strong enough to break Snake's armor when he's using the Cypher. So there is a threshold. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but if you hit Snake with a strong enough attack, he will take knockback like normal. It's not super armor. However, what I've usually found is that it's easier to break the Cypher itself. That has a threshold of something like 12%-ish. So if you have a move that can do that much, well, it won't be doing enough knockback to Snake to knock him out of his recovery. If he gets the Cypher destroyed out of his hands, it's usually a death sentence. There's enough lag on it that even if he has his C4 not on the stage and ready to use to recover with, that he often just dies anyway. So Kirby could have used a get-up option to not get killed there. He then got hit by a forward smash. It is a laggy move, however, it is also a very strong move. Snake is camping on a C4. At some point it's going to explode. There it is. Takes about 30 seconds for the C4 to explode on its own. So you can't just set it once and then activate it 10 minutes later. There is a time limit. One of the perk of putting C4 on the ground is that it pretty much creates a no-no zone for your opponent. Because Snake can walk on it because he's the one who chooses when it explodes. But if the opponent walks on it, then Snake is going to explode it on them. Kirby going for a down air. He misses it though. Kirby gets the second tech. Unfortunately, that gets him hit again. Oh, barely avoiding that grab from Snake. Going off stage. Is Snake going to spike him again? They both go up dangerously high. Kirby rolled through that down smash. Don't try this at home, kids. You will get killed for it. In the game, of course, not in real life. And we have a little bit of a suspicious kill screen there. That's because of Kirby extending his feet and the Snake extending his feet, and the hitboxes barely overlapped. Alright, for this match, we're going to have R.O.B US against Shulk. Yes, that's right. R.O.B US has the Japanese skin in-game. Makes it more confusing. Also, I'm personally rooting for R.O.B here, specifically because out of all the matches we've had in this preseason, every single match except for 4, the winner has been the character on the right. I don't know why, there's no intrinsic advantage to being player number 2. But for some reason, almost every single match this year, and in fact every match this episode, the right character is won. I only noticed because I keep tracking a spreadsheet of all the matches we have, and I coordinate it with the character positions so that I don't make some embarrassing mistakes that some of you may remember from past years. But yes, for some reason we're very right-heavy, and I don't know why, and I'm hoping that statistics will eventually balance that out. Forward smash, barely not enough to kill R.O.B. Shulk goes very low. R.O.B floats past, and R.O.B's recovery is very useful because you can actually attack out of it at pretty much any time. Both characters struggling to hit each other. R.O.B gets a up throw. So R.O.B's up throw is a kill throw, but it needs to be at a higher percent. At the percent Shulk was at, I would have recommended going for a down throw and trying to combo off of it. Late hit of neutral air is able to hit R.O.B. R.O.B shows off his own. Up air, not quite enough to kill Shulk. Now would probably be a great time for Shulk to go into a Monado. Smash Monado's risky, but he got the kill with it. Now he should probably go into shield, especially while R.O.B is invincible. So, Shulk's Monado. There is a whole system dictating what they do and do not do. So, each Monado is named after the positive benefit it has, but they all have a trade-off cost. And I believe the trade-off cost for Smash Monado is that you take more knockback. So it seems actually pretty fair. You deal more knockback, you take more knockback. Risk-reward. I know Sakurai really likes that. That was a really daring down air from Shulk. Got the kill. R.O.B is now massively behind, needing to find a way to kill Shulk and then kill him again, and then he'll be tied for even. R.O.B getting comboed. R.O.B does have a hard time escaping a lot of combos, so his neutral air is a great move to land with, but it comes out so slowly that it's hard to use it to escape combos. And for a lot of characters, neutral air is the move that gets me out of a combo button. Now R.O.B goes for a down smash, goes for a down throw, I mean. He does go for an up smash, but Shulk was able to mash out quick enough, R.O.B wasn't able to get it to land. Side special at the ledge. R.O.B didn't extend it at all, but he got the immediate finishing hitbox, able to kill Shulk, who just almost spiked R.O.B to his death. R.O.B is on death's door. He gets the tech. He gets the tech again, falling up air. He's run out of fuel! Weakness of R.O.B's recovery is that it's pretty much a free pass back to the ledge, but if you don't get your feet on the ground, your mono base peg thing on the ground, then you do run out of fuel and you can't use it again for a little bit. That happened to R.O.B. Alright, next up we have Falco against King Dedede. Two birds in a fight to the death. I suppose my money would be on the one with a hammer. Although now that I say that, Falco has a gun. It's a laser gun. But if they're using laser guns in space, I can only assume they're more viable than normal guns, which are incredibly efficient. The big trade I can think of is that an energy gun uses a battery pack, whereas a bullet gun would use ammunition. And I'm imagining a battery is either lighter weight or has more bullets than a bullet gun. Up special, Falco's not going to fall for it, though. Falco's put off stage. King Dedede just kind of floats around above the ledge. Let's Falco get back. Now, Falco can be a little bit harder to edge guard than you'd think because he has one of the highest double jumps in the game. Does make sense. He's a bird, he has wings, he should have a high jump height. And in Smash Bros. Ultimate, actually, all the characters have a faster jump than in previous games. Basically, it means they get to the height of their jump a lot faster. And for every character, the height of their jump is reached at the same time no matter what their jump height is set to. Maybe I got that wrong. I do know that there's a couple of formulas that affect jump height and the speed of your jump to get there. So usually characters who jump higher have a much faster moving jump, which also makes sense. That's how it would work in real life. If you jump off the ground faster, you end up going higher. That's just physics. But there are various controls set for each character, so you can actually... Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I didn't program this game. But you can set a character's jump height, and apparently it is separately considered from all the other factors of their jump. For example, how fast they get there. I know that your gravity stat's involved. That's a little bit more in-depth than we normally cover, but... Gravity is basically the force of gravity on a character. So every character has a different maximum fall speed. You can imagine, like in real life, having a parachute makes you fall slower than if you don't. So some characters have tiny parachutes and some characters have big parachutes. But believe it or not, that's unrelated to some characters fall to the ground. Well, for the gravity stat, if we're using the parachute metaphor. And then their maximum fall speed is on a character-per-character basis. It gets a little bit complicated. There's a lot that has to go into this game in order to make it work. King Dedede canceled the Super Dedede jump. It's actually something I normally can't recommend. It has a lot of end lag if you cancel it. Specifically to encourage players to actually commit to the whole move instead of trying to cancel it early. If anything, canceling the move is more of in case you accidentally try to fly off the edge with it. You can cancel the move and maybe drift back to the ledge and grab it and not accidentally kill yourself. Falco stops his combo for a taunt. Not something we like to see here. There are still some amiibo that have the taunting behavior still in their veins. It's difficult to train out. I can only say that Falco, and most amiibos that have it, only have it because before I standardized what spirits every amiibo got, I'd have to use whatever spirits I had. Only to find out later that, wow, Dedede just got stuck in the blender there, but he got out. And he was able to kill Falco, so I guess I'm going to continue this next match. Alright, and for the final fight of the episode, we're going to have Min Min against Yoshi. So when I was originally giving all these amiibo their spirits, we didn't know too much about how spirits worked back then. Every single spirit has custom-made values that you can effectively think of it as values that would make any computer player act how the spirit should, or you would think they would. Kind of like how their spirit battles are. So some spirits have a large jump modifier, and if you have that, then the amiibo is more likely to jump. And some spirits have a negative jump modifier, so the spirit makes the amiibo less likely to jump. So before I had standardized how to get the stat spread I needed in 3 spirits or less, which actually it is 3 spirits. I just had to use whatever I could until I got there. So I don't know what the earlier amiibos, at least, I don't know what all spirits they got in there, but some spirits have a taunt modifier. So even though I never taunted while training these amiibo, some amiibo just have that intrinsically in their weight priority list. And it's really hard to train out, because normally you can train an amiibo to not use a particular move by hitting them while they're using the move. Well, taunting is really hard, because first of all, the amiibo tend to either use it when you're dead and you cannot hit them, or when they've just finished a combo, and often when they're knocking you far away, which is also the other time when you can't really hit the amiibo to train them to not taunt. And even if you do get a couple of those off, it doesn't zero out the stat, it merely reduces it. So the amiibo will still keep doing it and think of it as just like a lucky hit or something. So the secret for getting the stat spread that we use for this tournament, in case anyone ever needs to recreate it, what I found works best is that to get great auto heal you need to use Celebi, and you do that first. Then you use a level 99 Mecha Fiora spirit. Mecha Fiora doesn't have the transformation mechanic to worry about, but you do need to make sure that the amiibo is untrained. I'm not sure what the effects of training... Sorry, not the amiibo is untrained, the spirit is untrained. I'm not sure what the effects of training a spirit does to the values added to the amiibo, but I'm pretty sure it will mess it up, so I haven't touched that at all. And then you use a level... Oh, and the importance of Mecha Fiora is that she's a neutral type spirit, and if you don't use it in the right order, it does actually affect the values of the amiibo. The amiibo get values that bring them closer in line with the spirit you last used, with basically how the proportion of how much of their stats are in each category. I believe a stronger sway is used for a larger difference. Haven't really looked too much into that though. I just know that if you want a balanced spirit, you gotta use a balanced spirit. If you want a spirit with high attack, you gotta use a spirit with high attack. You can probably figure out the rest from there. So, Celebi doesn't have balanced stats. However, when you use it as the first spirit, it will take away, I believe, 400 from each stat equally, which partners very well with Mecha Fiora, who is a neutral type spirit, which is where your spirit will be getting its neutral type from. And I think Celebi also counts as a neutral type, even though it's a spirit slot spirit. Not entirely sure how that works either. But that will... The amiibo starts as neutral type, and you give them one more neutral type, so they would need 2 or possibly 3, depending, attack types in order to sway that. And then the last spirit you use is a level 1 Kumatora spirit. She has just the perfect stat spread to put the amiibo at 2100 in each stat. So, just to summarize, Celebi, level 99 Mecha Fiora, level 1 Kumatora. You'll get it every time. And interestingly enough, Yoshi winning there does mean that every single character in the player 2 slot did win this video. That is a little concerning. I might do testing just to make sure it's not bugged. It hasn't been a problem in the past, and I don't think they've updated the game in any way to change it. So it might just be a freak accident that had to happen at some point. Until then, though, bye.